The S&P 500 daily chart, looking back to the beginning of the current wave, ABC. I'll zoom into the current area now. The S&P 500 has printed the combo and sequential buy setup 6 count, and to negate that for end of day on the 10th, there must be a close above 4478.03 for the price flip to the sell setup count 1. And price in the aftermarket hours for the S&P 500 at 5:24 p.m. Central Time on the 9th is 44.76. So that puts it pretty close to it, but we have to wait to see what happens in the morning of the 10th. And it's CPI report day, and I'm glad to see that most everybody has a healthy fear of headline inflation ticking up a little bit, like we've been talking about with the CRB and the DBC going up. So commodity prices are going up. Everybody knows what oil and gasoline is doing. So most everybody had a pretty good fear of that this morning, except that some out there came out of the gate buying. So the close on the 8th was 44.99.38 and the open was 45.01.57. so the momentum down for 50% and 100% did not become qualified and confirmed. So that's a pretty big deal. And maybe it's better in a way that our buy zone didn't get hit. You can see the top, this gap zone, the bottom of the gap zone here, 43.64, the high of this bar. And the qualified demand projection is near that area, and that didn't get hit. It did go through the baseline again and closed right above the Bollinger Band. So the Bollinger Band, lower band for the daily chart, held back for now price from going under that. So we get to see what happens for tomorrow morning. Without some new longs under our belt, maybe it would be a good thing. So yeah, everybody's expecting now to have headline inflation maybe tick up 0.1% or just quite nominally, but I don't know, it's going to have an effect on the psyche of traders and investors, could push this down. So let's see what happens when it opens for tomorrow on the 10th CPI report. And if it does blast downwards through our buying zone, the 50 simple moving average to start the day is at 44.27.11, and the 50 EMA is not that far away at 44.25.50. And you can see the 50 simple and EMA in green here. The dotted one is the EMA and the solid one is the simple moving average. And it has this horizontal line at the bottom of the zone, 44.45.21, this horizontal line. It gets below that, and like I said, the 50s are here, but then it's in a no man's land, and that's been a no man's land for a long time. Here, I'll zoom this out a little bit. I zoomed it out a bit, not quite back to the COVID crash, but you can see that the net no man's land between the upper and lower zones here in light blue. And for sure during the 2022 era, there was really nothing to base any horizontal lines on there. And even going back before the October 2021, really nothing there. So it's really kind of a no man's land in between this upper and lower zone here. I mean, everything's pointing to our buy zone at the top of this candle here, 44.43 something. You can see that last horizontal line from the upper zone here is right near there too. So yeah, if it busts below that and tests the 50, I'm sure there'll be some buying there, and then it's really down into no man's land if it gets past that. I mean, there is the 4409 horizontal line over in the patterns daily chart, and you can see that's based on here, and that was from coming out of the broadening top pattern. So that was a measure rule from Bulkowski right around in this area. So 4409 is an important area too. You know, but by then it's busted under the 50 lines over here in green, and yeah, it's going to be in a lot of trouble. Hopefully 4409 area can hold it back and get a bounce off of there. So that would be the second area of interest after the gap zone. 4443 would be the 4409 area. Then after that, if it keeps going, a lot are interested in this area here, 4305 to 4325. So it's the gap zone, 4445, let's call it around that area. Then the 4409 horizontal line from the broadening top breakout, 50 simple moving average and 50 EMA, and bust through all that, it's down into that zone 4300 to 4325, and around there is a line here for support, an uptrend line, and that line is at 4316.90 for tomorrow, but I don't think it'll make it down there in one day, but you never know. So yeah, it's going to be fun and games and a lot of fireworks possibly for tomorrow morning on the 10th.